What determines the success of Google Shopping ads? If you've just started with Google Ads or you've been running Google Ads for a while and you're not getting the results that you want to see, these are the 9 questions you want to be asking yourself to examine the campaign itself and your store setup. The success of the Google Shopping campaign does not just determine on how successful you're setting up the campaign, how your store is being set up, how your store is perceived by your shoppers, by your potential customers. That also plays an important role in turning those Google Ads visitors to your potential loyal customers. In this video, I'm going to delve into the 9 questions you should be asking if you're running Google Shopping ads. Hi, I'm Clarice Lin, our doctor who helps online store owners to grow and scale up profitable Google Shopping ads. If you're new to my channel, you want to download one of my free resources, that is the Shopify Marketing Guide, link in the description and pinned comments, where I explain to you the different ways of driving free and paid traffic to your store so you don't 100% rely on Google. Don't put all your eggs into one basket. The 9 questions you should be asking will be divided into 2 main parts that falls under the campaign setup as well as how your store is being perceived. If your campaign is performing really well, but your store is rubbish, people are not going to buy. But if your store is really prettily made up, everything's really good, but your campaign is not properly set up, you are sending wrong people to your store, then likely they're not going to turn to customers either. In order for this entire Google Shopping campaign to be able to generate sustainable profit in the middle to long term in both areas, your campaign setup and your store setup, that needs to work really well together, and you need to do both correctly. If you're running Performance Max, this video is also relevant for you because Google Shopping ads is also one ad format of the Performance Max campaign. You want to watch this video right to the end to make sure that you're making the most out of your Performance Max campaign. Without further ado, let's dive in. Question number 1, the technical setup. Have you set up your Google Ads correctly? Are you putting the right conversion tracking pixel? Are you able to track if someone's coming from an ad going to your store and they buy something? Are you able to send this piece of information back to Google so that Google is able to locate more of these visitors? If not, then you definitely want to review it, work with an expert, a specialist if you're not technically inclined, to make sure that this is properly set up. If your setup is not technically sound and you're not sending the right information to guide Google's algorithm to locate more potential customers, and then your entire campaign, no matter what you do to your store, no matter what you do to your campaigns, you're not going to succeed. Question number 2. After your entire setup is correct and you set up your first campaign, are your ads being shown to the right people? And how do you determine that? For Google Shopping ads, you don't get to decide which are the search terms you want your ads to be showing up for. Those product ads that you see on Google Shopping, Google decides who are the people they want to show your ads to, what type of search terms they are putting into Google. They will decide. This matching of your ads to the search query is determined by how well you've set up your product feed in Google Merchant Center. If you have set it up correctly, if you're putting the right keywords in your product title, if you put the right keywords in your product description, you have provided as much information and details and the nuances of your product to Google, then that increases the chances of Google fully, completely understand what your product is about, what it can do, and then being able to match your products to the right people who are most likely going to buy from your store. If you're struggling with your product title, you don't know if you've done a good job, or if you don't know if you've put as much information as you can into your product pages, then I recommend you check out one of my videos, link in the top right-hand corner of the screen, where I talk about how to optimize your product titles to get the most amount of clicks from Google. Do check out that video. I have another resource as well where I talk about what do you need to put in your product description to make sure that it's keyword enriched, so Google will fully understand all about your products and be able to show them to the right people. Link in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Another tip for you, if you're not sure if your ads are being shown to the right people, you log into Google Analytics, this tool that helps you to understand who are the people on your store, what are those people doing on your store, what pages are they visiting, what are they clicking on. That's Google Analytics. You log into Google Analytics and look for the average time that those Google Ads visitors are spending on your store. How much time are they spending on your store? Do they click to go to your store and leave straight away? Are they spending 1 or 2 seconds? If so, that means most likely you're not getting the right people to your store. You need to go and make sure to improve your product title and description, as what I've mentioned earlier. Or the other option is maybe your store isn't set up correctly, or the shopper is looking for when they arrive in the store they didn't quite like it, so they left straight away. I'm going to address that on how to make sure your store is set up correctly and set up attractively so shoppers are most likely going to turn into customers. So watch that to the end. Another way of knowing if you are getting the right people to your store is whether the people coming to your store from Google Ads, are they clicking on add to cart at all? If there are no add to carts at all, it also means likely you're not getting the right people to your store. To help Google to understand who to show your ads to, as I mentioned, make sure your product feed has as much details as possible about your products. Question number 3. Are you giving enough time for the algorithm to learn who could be your potential customers? Typically, after you set up your Google Shopping campaign, it takes about 7 to 14 days for your first campaign to gather enough information to be able to get the right people to your store. And during that time, you shouldn't really be expecting any sales, especially if you haven't run any Google Ads in the first place. You need to give algorithm to analyze all this information. First, they'll show your ads to some people. If those people who saw your ads, did they click on it? They will collect the first part of the information. And after they click on it, when they go to your store, then how did they respond? Did they add to cart? Did they buy anything? Did they buy anything straight away, or did they buy something within a few days' time, or did they buy something after 1 week? If the shopper takes a long time to decide, and maybe after the first click to your store, they take about 2 to 3 weeks, then they return again and eventually buy. That means then Google actually takes 3 weeks to collect that one sale that you have collected from Google Ads. This means that Google is taking some time to be able to collect those information, those signals from potential customers. If they're not collecting enough information about potential shoppers who turn into customers, then they're not able to find more of these people. If you're only getting a couple of sales from maybe 1,000 clicks, so from 2 customers or 2 sales, they are not able to find a huge group of people who are going to buy from you. The more sales that you get, at least 30 sales within a month or so, that means you are giving Google enough information they can analyze, and then they can find more of those people. If you're only getting the random clicks every other day, and then you're only getting a sale maybe once every 2 weeks, don't expect Google's algorithm to be able to find more customers from you. This means you need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe you need to optimize your campaign, or you need to improve your store to be able to attract the right people to your store and convert those people into customers. Question number 4. Are you putting enough budget to your Google Shopping campaign? Most people, when they first start out, they want to keep a low budget. Let's put $5 per day for this campaign. Well, that means it's going to take Google more time to be able to collect those information. As I mentioned in the question 3, Google is to collect enough information so that they can find more of those customers for you. The less data that Google has collected about your Google Ads campaign, about those clicks that's turning into sales, that means that if there are less sales, if there are less clicks, it means Google has less data to be able to predict who are your future potential customers. To overcome this problem, you need to be able to set a good amount of budget. If you're running Google Shopping campaign or running PMax, put in about $15 to $20 per day. This gives Google enough opportunity to show to enough people, to enough to get those number of clicks, then to be able to get that sales. If you have a low budget, let's say if you are putting a budget of $5 and you're getting 5 clicks because maybe each click costs you $1. That means from that 5 clicks to your store, the chances of turning those 5 random clicks from shoppers to turn into 1 customers, that means you're expecting a 20% conversion rate out from those clicks. And that's fairly impossible. Most conversion rates, if you're lucky, ranges between 1% to 2% if your store is very established. If you're starting out, you'll be looking at maybe less than even 0.5% for your Google Ads conversion rate. That means if you're only getting 5 clicks per day because you put $5, that means it's going to take a long time before Google's algorithm is able to confidently predict who to show your ads to be able to get that customer. So if you really want your Google Shopping campaign to perform, this means you need to put in enough budget behind so those algorithms can be trained up quickly enough to learn to find the right people for your store. Question number 5. Are your ads attractive to the shoppers? Let's say Google shows your product ads to potential shoppers on Google Shopping. If your product image is not attractive enough, or if your product title don't have that right keyword sitting inside, nobody's really going to click. The picture says 1,000 words, and the picture is the first impression that a potential shopper is looking at if they decide to click or not, because they don't see your store, they don't see you, they don't know anything about your store at all. First thing they're going to look at is the quality of your product image. Is it clear enough? Is it showing the details? Are the colors bright enough? Does it look attractive for them so that they can visualize as though they're standing in a physical store. When they look at the product in front of their face, is this something that's going to get them to buy? Can they imagine themselves buying this product? If your picture is not attractive, if your picture is not compelling, it doesn't have the right details to help them decide whether this is something they'll be interested in owning or if they'll be interested to buy, then it's highly unlikely they're going to click. Even if Google is showing your products to the right people, your product image is going to be the determinant in that click. To make sure you are getting that click, review your product image. Look at this page of Google to see what are the different recommendations that you can make your product image as special as possible, something that's different from your competitors when they go onto Google Shopping to attract that shoppers to click on your ad versus clicking your competitor's ad. Question number 6. Are you targeting too many people in your campaign? Most people think that if they set up a campaign, they want to target as many people as possible. Maybe they want to target more than one country, thinking if I target more than one country, it means that I'm going to get more people, and then most likely I'm going to buy. But the problem is, if you set up your campaign to target many different countries, it creates a problem because the bigger your target audience set, that means it makes it more difficult for Google to understand the shopper's behavior, the shopper's pattern. Ideally, you want to be only targeting one country per campaign maximum. This is because in each country, the shopper's behavior may differ. In different countries as well, there are different bank holidays. So different bank holidays, you get different shoppers' behavior when they're going on holiday or when they're coming back. Or when you're in different countries, maybe there are different time zones. And this makes it difficult for Google to understand people who are shopping at night versus people shopping in the daytime. And when Google is not able to find trends or patterns in the shopper's behavior, this means that Google is unable to show more of your ads at the right time to target those people who are willing to buy. I recommend you to set the maximum of one country per campaign to make sure that your campaign is really targeted towards this group of people and help Google to understand your shoppers' behavior so that they can find more of those right people to your store to become your best customers. In the second half of this video, I'm addressing the 3 core pillar stone of your store that you need to have as a prerequisite in order to be able to convert those shoppers into customers. Let's say if your Google Shopping campaign is properly set up, you're getting the right people to your store, but they're not converting. So that could be a problem with your store. So there are 3 pillar stone you need to make sure. That is number 1, the trustworthiness of your store. Number 2, your product description. How convincing is your product description? Are you giving enough information about your products? And number 3, validation, peer validation from existing customers. Let's talk about store trustworthiness. When a shopper first comes to your store, if you're an unknown brand to them, you're something new, they have not heard of your brand before, that's the first time they're coming to your store, you need to present a couple of key elements to instill that trust. First of all, your store needs to be presentable, it needs to look attractive. The store layout needs to be pretty, it needs to look very good on the eye, aesthetically sound, especially if you are selling products of a higher price point, it needs to look luxurious or premium if needed. If you're selling higher price products, but your store layout is not nice, you're not using consistent fonts, you're not using the right color fonts, the colors that you have chosen together, the color combination doesn't look pleasing to the eye, then this creates mistrust with the shoppers. If you're not a designer yourself, make sure you hire someone professional to be able to create that layout for you. But if you're a designer, then I believe you shouldn't have any problem. Get a couple of other people's feedback to check out your store to see if you are presenting a cohesive front, a branding that best represents your store. Aside from the store layout and design, the next thing you want to make sure is you need to provide as much information about your store as possible. That means making sure you're setting up your social media platforms, so users can check out social media platforms to see who is your brand, if other people are talking about your brand, what other information you're setting up. You need to put in your store information, where your store is based, if you have a factory, where it is, where are you shipping from, what's your shipping information, your shipping policy, how much does it cost for shipping, as well as your returns policy. Be really clear, have a good returns policy or exchange policy. How long do they get for that returns? what do they need to do, how to contact you. Put in a couple of different contact methods as well. Give them confidence. They know that you are going to be there. You're trustworthy. You're not going to take their money and disappear. This is because online, there are many bad actors who are putting up a storefronts and cheating shoppers of their money. So this happens a lot. This creates a certain level of mistrust, or I would say shopper savviness. As long as they are finding information to determine that your store is legit, the store can be trusted, your store is not just a one-off, then this is going to help them feel comfortable with your store, fosters the trust and rapport, and that then shouldn't become the obstacle to buying from your store. The second part, which is your product information. Your product description is actually the salesperson, the invisible salesperson, so to speak. Every piece of information or details about your products, your product highlights. Why is your product special? What is your product made of? What's the size of your product? What's the color of your product? What makes your product so special compared to other products? Remember, this shopper is shopping online. If there's nothing special about your product at all and your pricing is similar or higher than another store's product, what this person can do is they're browsing online, they see your product, they're like, no, there's not enough information. What's this product about? Why is it so special? What they're going to do is they're going to click on the back button, they go back to Google again and click on another result that they found on Google Shopping. It's that easy for them to turn away, for them to leave your store straight away. Prevent that from happening, make sure you put in as much information about your product as possible. Even better, put in different angles of your product pictures as well. The angle from the left, angle of the product from the right side, from the top maybe how your product looks like against other complementary product, maybe someone using the product. Even better if you have a video of how your product is being used or how your product is being made. That would also foster trust with the shoppers. Give them confidence as though they are standing in front of the product, examining the product, trying to see how it's going to work or how it will feel like if they bought the product. Put in as many images as possible, put in as much details about your product as possible. If there is nothing special about your product, if there's nothing special about your store, then why would a shopper buy from you? They can just easily go back to Google and look for another store and buy from them instead. If your strategy is to offer as low as price as possible, trying to give as many discounts as possible to the first-time customers, what happens is they will buy only because your product was cheaper than other products. But the problem is then they might not buy again if you decide to raise your price. In order for your store to succeed, make sure you are not playing a race to the bottom by undercutting your price to be as cheap as possible. In today's shoppers world, if someone would want to buy something that is durable, that they can use for a longer period of time, they don't necessarily want to buy cheap things that are not going to last because that's a waste of their money. The savvy shopper today, they want to look for good products that they can use not just for one time, but for multiple times as well. And if you want this customer to also recommend their friends and their family to buy from you as well, then you need to create that trust. Give them as much details as possible so they can visualize how it will be like to buy your product and why they should choose your product over your competitors. The third pillar stone for your store is to have as many user reviews as possible. If someone just knows about your store for the first time, most people don't want to be the first person to buy from your store. They don't want to be the guinea pig. They don't want to get a shock after they buy from your store and realize that your product was rubbish and they had wasted their money. Nobody wants to waste their money. Most people are more likely going to buy if they have confidence in your products. You need to have enough product reviews about your product, not just about your store, about each of your individual products as well. Product reviews can be found on your store, or it can be easily Googleable online, or it could also be on social media. If someone's checking your social media account and you're sharing pictures of other customers who have bought your products and are saying good things about your product, that means that's going to make them feel comfortable that they know, oh yes, other people have bought and they really love your products such that they have created videos online to rave about your products, to say your product is excellent and they recommend other people to buy. They're looking for that validation, that peer validation. That's the top criteria for a shopper to decide to buy from a foreign brand. They want to know other people's experience. It doesn't mean that every review that you get needs to be a 5-star review, because in this case, they could be suspicious that you have bought a review for someone to get a 5-star review. You want to have quality review. Let's say if you're selling a product that is more than $50, around $100 or so, it needs to be a quality review about why those people were really happy about your product. What is the highlight about your product that makes them really excited about? Was there a specific attribute that really helped them in what they were doing? In their review, they need to articulate why they were happy about the product. Even better, they could name maybe 1 to 3 reasons why they really love your product. It's not just a great product, I'll buy it again. That doesn't instill confidence in your future customer that your product was great. Each product review have to be specific about what was special about the product. It goes back to the second point when I explained about the product description. You need to put what's special about your product. And in that reviews as well, customers who bought from you, they need to be able to name specific products, why that product highlight was so special to them, and why after they bought it, they were really happy about that product. How it helped them to do this or how it helped them to do that. After buying that, their problem went away. In this case, this helps future customers who have similar problem to say, all right, I have a similar problem. Yes, I think I can buy this product. Qualitative user reviews with descriptive words to explain how and why those products were being used and why they were great. This will help to instill confidence in your future customers to buy your products. I hope now you have a good grasp and understanding of how the entire ecosystem works. In order for your Google Shopping campaign to succeed, it does not depend just purely on the management and your entire campaign setup. How your store is being set up and how is it being managed and how it's being presented to your future customers. These are 2 important components to determine the success of your Google Shopping campaign. And if your Google Shopping is doing really good and you want to maximize each advertising dollar for your Google Shopping campaign, you want to check out my video on how to set your target return on ad spend. What's the best number to set for your shopping campaign? Link in the top right-hand corner of the screen. With these questions that I've shared with you, I hope this gives you the foundation you need to understand and diagnose if your shopping campaign is doing correctly, if your campaign is maximized to its fullest potential, or how you can convert those Google Ads traffic into potential customers. If you need specialized one-on-one help to grow and scale up profitable Google Shopping ads, get in touch with me. My contact details in the description and pinned comments. I specialize in helping online store owners in these industries, baby store owners, pet store owners, clothing brands, and food and drinks products. And before you go, don't forget to download my free Shopify marketing guide, 25 pages of details where I go into the pros and cons of alternative ways to drive free and paid traffic to your store so you don't 100% rely on Google. Link in the description and pinned comments. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, remember to give it a like, do subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on how to grow and scale up profitable Google Shopping ads. I'm Clarice Lin, the RI Doctor, signing off. Stay profitable. Bye.